Hi, my name is Melissa Charenko, and I was a fellow at the Institute for Historical Studies at UT Austin from 2020 to 2021. Normally, I'm an assistant professor at Michigan State University in the Department of History and in Lyman Briggs College. But this year, I virtually, because it was a COVID year, joined the Institute for their Climates in Context, Historical Precedents, and the Unprecedented theme. That theme worked really well for the book project that I'm currently working on, Science as Prophecy, Measuring Climate's Past and Future. That project looks at how understandings of the past underpin understandings of the future and present climate. I'm particularly interested in these questions in the 19th and 20th century when scientists were just developing a number of new tools to study climate. These are called climate proxies, and they're the natural recorders of variability. So things like fossil pollen, tree rings, diatoms, which are a class of algae, ice cores are all climate proxies because their growth, their abundance, the types of species that they have tell us something about past climates once you learn to interpret them. And I'm interested in the questions scientists could ask and answer using these variety of sources. I'm interested in the view that they came up with in the late 19th century that climate could be dynamic, that it could change over time as a result of some of this work, first on ice ages and then work on climate proxies. That seemed to show that the current period that we still think of as quite stable could be variable over time. And then I'm interested in questions like what did they do once they saw climate as dynamic? What did it mean for understandings of human migrations, the movement of flora and fauna, and the rise and fall of civilizations? This was a time when people believed that climate played a large influence on life. And so I wanted to understand how these different understandings that climate could in fact change affected understandings of historical change over time. And what did this mean for the future? Could you predict where civilizations would go, how crops would fare, given this sort of dynamic understanding of climate? The book also takes us much closer to the present and understandings and what to do about climate when there's this understanding of human-caused climate change. So given this notion that humans are driving the temperature of the planet in weird and wild ways, what can we know about the future when it seems to be so unprecedented from the past? And that question of unprecedented is particularly one of the reasons that drew me to the climate in context, historical precedents, and the unprecedented theme. I'm interested in some of these historical questions about what history can tell us about our current moment, our current climate crisis, especially by looking at these scientific actors who are saying humans are causing such a change on the earth that it's unprecedented. What role can history play in those moments? Unprecedented sort of talks about break or rupture. And so what does it mean if we see the present as completely disjointed with the past? And so I was thrilled to be a fellow at the Institute this year, getting to answer these questions with colleagues, especially as it culminated in the climate conference that brought together really diverse points of view to answer and think through some of these questions together. I was also really impressed by all the different events that the Institute put on that allowed me to broaden my ideas both of climate, and then of history more broadly, bringing together fellows who are asking lots of different questions and having opportunities to read, discuss work of a variety of sorts, whether that was with the graduate students doing an environmental history reading group to the diversity of climate fellows. My year at the Institute for Historical Studies was incredibly productive and incredibly rich. Even though I never actually made it to Texas, it was a great environment for learning and thinking through history. So I want to thank everyone for making that happen.